We're live, right?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh man, dude. Hey, how long has it been since our last live stream?
It's been a little bit, man. I want to say like 6 months. I think we did the Plan B event like 2 months, like like summertime.
We did that, and then our what's gonna call it? Our mini series, our mini series. So it must have been since October, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, because I remember, when we did the live stream, we did it on 2 birthdays, my birthday and the Mrs. birthday. That was pretty funny. She has to talk to you about that, about working on birthdays. But we had to do it. We had to do what we had to do. We're co-founders. We're the co-founders of a digital media company, so we're trying our best to get to where we need to be, and that's exactly why we're here today. Part of Black History Month, we are celebrating young Black individuals. Our slogan that we were working with is "Know your past, shape your future." And I'm extremely excited for the panel that we have with each other. We have individuals from diverse backgrounds, from law to business and finance to medicine. And I'm extremely excited to introduce the one that's from medicine, because that's going to be a curveball that everyone's going to find out. You found out just today.
Yep, like 2 minutes ago. So bring them up or what?
Yeah, bring them up.
First one we got in the building.
Gianni Grant. And to everyone that's watching right now, this is actually my niece. So she, beautiful young Black woman, she's currently going through a process of nursing school right now. I'm extremely proud of her. Her mom is definitely put a whoop into my backside more than once, more than twice, punched me in the throat, but it's all love, nothing at the end of the day. Shout out to Adaji.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited.
Most definitely. All right, who we got next here in the building?
We got Mr. from Business and Finance, Jordan Dyson.
What's up?
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing this evening? Excuse me.
You're doing beautiful, bro. You're doing beautiful.
Doing great. Beautiful. Have a black-tastic day. How's everybody doing? It's very important that we're doing this. Everybody's finding some way to stay connected during these times here. As much as we can't get together as much as we would like to. It's always great to spread love, spread positivity, and just to really be combined, have a family-oriented unit. So thank you guys for including me in this. And wonderful to meet you, Gianni.
Nice to meet you too, Jordan.
All right.
And then here I got the honors on this one. Last but definitely not least, man, we got my guy, my day one from 6th grade. We go way back. This man, literally, I'd say is one of the most humblest dudes, but also one of the hungriest. His work speaks for himself. From Morehouse, the valedictorian. Welcome, Jonathan Epps, my guys and ladies, to the building.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all for the introduction. Gianni, JD, pleasure to be with you guys. Really looking forward to this event tonight.
Yeah, of course. Hey, Jonathan, I know that you're tuning in with us from Charlotte right now. How is it out there? How is it out in the East Coast?
Charlotte, man, it's not California. I don't think that.
Oh yeah.
But here it holds up, man. It's a good city. The virus out here is actually, I would say, relatively under control. People have been doing a decent job of social distancing, wearing their masks. In terms of just the city itself, weather is good. Overall, there's a lot of things to do, a lot of nice places to eat. It's a nice city to be in. I don't see myself here long term, but I definitely wouldn't complain if I were. So.
Yeah, for sure, bro. We're just lucky for you to be with us, man. Because again, when you're talking about going to HBCU, we have diverse. People think it's just like nothing but it's Black folks, right? But it's diverse Black folks that go to HBCUs. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're going to touch up more on that when we get to the academic part of our section. But again, we have all three of you guys, as our panelists, and Adi and I moderating together. It was important for us to talk about, all right, the slogan that we're working with that we said earlier was know your past, shape your future. We know our past. We know everything that we've been through as Black people. But, the important part was to shape our future. And, as we said, we are the future. This is the name that we were going with, the title for our live stream. And you guys are a future, in medicine, business, finance, and law, right? So I myself is looking to go to law school too as well. So, you know, I understand like that whole process is not going to be easy, but I'm just excited so that we can talk about what can we do better in our communities and, you know, why I was going to say this for later, but, you know, we trying to be part of, we want to be belong in these areas, but honestly, bro, we're ready to take over. And so right now, as we're ready to take over in these areas and provide representation, let's get down to it. So, again, Gianni, I want to like ladies first. My niece, tell us
Did it freeze?
No, it's just the background noise, I think.
Oh,
Yeah. Mm-mm. We're getting there. We're getting there. Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
You hear?
All right.
Do you want to say it again?
Can you guys hear Hira?
Hira's gone.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Happens with
Hira got told
technology.
to go cook dinner. Hira got called to go cook dinner.
I told you. I swear it already happened. That's why I was surprised. Trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but
Adi, you want to take over?
yeah, I'm gonna have to step in. You know, I run the show, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, Jordan, man, start us off, man. So, kind of, I think just early on, kind of, was there like what really inspired you to go down like the business and like kind of finance path? You know, kind of was it like just you had like role models, like mentors who like you saw and you're like, I want to be like them? Was it just like a class, or kind of just I think it'd be good for us to kind of just the audience to learn a little bit more about like yourself and kind of where your interests and how your interests have led you to kind of like the path you've chosen.
Okay. Well, quite honestly, excuse me, it came from looking at a landscape. So, in the Black community, since we came to this country, and especially since the 50s and 60s, we've kind of stayed at a very similar income level. Obviously it's relative with a pay increase and things like that. But aside from that, we have made many contributions to society and inventions and things like that. But yet our spending habits, our knowledge of investments, our knowledge of really learning how to make our money work for ourselves, and our spending habits as a whole, ethnicity is really not best, or we just generally don't have the education, right? We have this really great, how do I say, this fascination with really Eurocentric brands, and we think that the cars or the clothes or these things are status symbols, and they're really gonna show that we're wealthy, right? Whereas you see people that really have wealth and really have affluence, really have ownership, and really have financial security and financial success. They really don't care about those things as much. Not saying that they can't buy them, but we really view them as demarcation marks to ourselves that, hey, look at me, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. So it's really seeming like you're trying to get validation from other people in sense like that. So, having the financial education really is the foundation and the starting piece here to where you can learn about the things. I mean, look now, the banking system is really starting to, turn its wheels, right? We have Robinhood shut down GameStop, and the power of the internet is really being shown now, right? And these people on Wall Street, which, there's these things called Ponzi schemes. There's these things where they say, oh, that's illegal. I said, they've been doing the most corrupt things as long as this country has been around, right? They just take the people's money and they do with it what they see fit. So, I mean, with this cryptocurrency thing that we have going on in Bitcoin and everything else, now is the time to really put the power back into people's hands, where we've never had this opportunity like this before, right? And with the advent of society, with the advent of the internet and the commercialization and the availability of this information here, now is the time to mobilize, to organize, and to unify. Because us as a people, we really need to unify and not, just be trying to tear each other down as much. So ownership, education, and implementation is very key. Because at the end of the day, there's no reason why all of our people cannot be financially successful and be fruitful to live the life you want to live. No one wants to live paycheck to paycheck. No one wants to be struggling, man. And we don't deserve that. We are the backbone of this country. The backbone. We built all of this. We built all of this. So like you know what I mean? It's only right, and no one is gonna come save us. I'm sorry, I voted for Biden. No white man is gonna come save us. Like no white man is gonna come save us here. So we really have to take responsibility within ourselves to be like, look, okay, I got me. Jonathan's got himself. Ahira's got himself. Audie's got himself. Gianni's got herself. We each have different skill sets and different abilities. Let's pull together and let's create something beautiful that's long lasting. So, I mean, ownership equals freedom. It's not going to be without hard work, but that's really where I'm coming from now, man, because we weren't built here to just pay bills and pay taxes and end up going in the grave. I don't believe that. I think we want more out of life like that. So, that's where it came from. So not really a lot of mentorship, but I've just seen people, my family, friends. I myself had bad spending habits when I was younger. So, and I learned trial by fire. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from. Sorry for the spiel, but I'm very passionate about that.
No, very well said, man. That's a tough one to follow. I think you came out the gates firing, which is dope. But yeah, Jonathan, man, just talk to us a little bit about we know laws, like your interests, kind of where path you want to go down. But similar to Jordan, was there any mentor figures, kind of just any kind of what influence you feel like really made you kind of spark that interest in law and maybe you want to pursue that?
It's a good question, Adi. So high school, I think, was the point where my interest in a legal education and becoming an attorney kind of sprouted out. And the specific instance, or I guess it was instances that started happening, were the death of Trayvon Martin and the death of Mike Brown, I believe, in 2014, fall of 2014. I remember the craziness, especially in Ferguson, surrounding that time over the justice that those two Black boys didn't get and the justice that we continue not to get, as evidenced by George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. And when I thought about that, I was like, how can I work? How can I make a vocation and career where I'm representing people who may not have access to the representation they need, but also delivering the justice that we haven't seen for the past 400 years. And my interest in law school was really from, again, the murders of those just the continual murders of Black bodies and just discriminatory policing, those types of things. And I went back and forth. Do I need law school to implement the kind of change I want to do? Do I not need it? But after talking to lawyers, after completing a legal internship in 2019, I decided that it was the best path for me. So looking forward to going soon.
Hey, appreciate you sharing that, Jonathan. Sorry about that for the technical difficulties. Bad internet connection on my part, but I think that's extremely important for you, Jonathan. Is that we need legal representation in our communities, right? But let's kind of get switch transition a little bit too, as well as medicine. Gianni, you're currently going through the process of nursing school. Talk about why you got into wanting to get into medicine in the first place.
Where do I start? Medicine has always kind of been a big part of my family. My grandfather owns a clinic, and my grandma was in the health field. We have group homes and stuff like that. But the biggest kind of thing was watching my family kind of be neglected in the healthcare system. I feel like as Black people or people of color in general, we tend to be overlooked. I feel like how jail is for Black people is how hospitals are for Black people. They look at us and they kind of say, oh, you're not hurting that bad. You're okay. Here's some medicine. And so just being a voice for us, I feel like we need more people that look like us, that understand the pains that we go through, the things that we are experiencing. And even thinking about Serena Williams, for instance, she almost died giving labor. So I'm if they don't care about Serena Williams, one of our greatest athletes, they definitely don't care about me. So I definitely wanted to save our kids, save our women, save our men, and just be kind of advocate more for what's happening and being able to further help us pretty much. So it's very, very important to go into a place, especially a place where they're supposed to care for you, and see somebody that looks like you. You know, it helps with the health process. So that's kind of what motivated me to get into it.
I can't wait till you become a nurse. And you're right. You know, our family's been a part of that, the whole medicine journey for a long time. You know, my dad, her grandfather is actually owns a medical clinic in Bakersfield and manages that doctor's office. So on top of doing real estate, on top of doing financial advising on the side as well. So you're talking about how much you got to do just to be considered average, how much you got to do to actually just be you know, make a difference in our own communities, right? So on the next part, what I want to talk a little bit, let's talk a little bit about mental health. Okay, so why do you guys think that in our communities that mental health is such a stigma that we shouldn't go see a therapist and this and that? And I want to ask that to Jonathan first. What do you think, bro?
Man, here that's another question. Man, mental health is a really tricky subject. Um, I I guess when I think about mental health, I always reflect back on my time in Morehouse. I was surrounded by obviously black men for the past, I guess, 4 years, almost exclusively. And I noticed that a lot of us try to not necessarily put on a front, but we like to act like things are always okay. We like to act like things like we're always strong when sometimes we're not. Um, and I know our people obviously have endured a lot over the course of time, and that might be a defense mechanism. But I know that at Morehouse, for example, when you would say, "Oh, I went to see the counselor today," or "Man, I'm not feeling so hot." Sometimes there was a stigma surrounding, you know, uh, that that kind of statement. Um, but yeah, here I overall think that we as a people sometimes we like to be strong, or we like to just act like we're unbreakable. And I think mental health and kind of not addressing it the way that we need to, especially amongst black men, is kind of a symptom of that, if that makes sense.
Hey, you bring up valid points, man. Gianni, I want to know your thoughts on mental health, and you're gonna see a lot of that going into medicine. Talk to me about your thoughts about black mental health in the black community.
Kind of like picking back off Jonathan, it is like it's we like black men are saying you're supposed to be strong. You gotta be like you don't cry. Like if you're a boy, you're supposed to be tough. If you're a girl, you're supposed to handle yourself. Like that's what we are taught, even growing up. And I definitely feel like it has something to do with like our history and us like going through certain situations. Showing emotion like you're showing a sign of weakness. So I definitely feel like depression, what is that? Like you don't feel good. What do you mean? Like that's not something that we're supposed to talk about. And instead we kind of turn everything into a joke in a way. Like, we want to joke about it and stuff like that. But it's definitely serious. And I'm kind of happy like with social media and stuff like that. It's been like more like, especially like with the young black people, they're like, no, like he's going through something. They're going through something, like it's not a joke. It's like people are coming more like sensitive to it. And I think it's big. We have to pay attention to it because we go through things too. We're not built to always be strong and handle ourselves. Sometimes you are sad, sometimes you do want to cry, and that's okay, so I definitely think we have to be a little bit more like, just sensitive and aware of one another when it comes down to that. I think it's very important.
You're right. Being more sensitive and aware about what we go through, right? Especially with our mental health, especially like over the past year when through the whole pandemic and the whole George Floyd incident. That we'll talk. JD, I want to get your input as well, but we'll talk a little bit more about that after this. After your answer.
Well, I mean, to tie in with Gianni, she's talking about her experience with the medical field and especially, how African Americans get treated in the hospital situation or let's say a convalescent home. So my experience with that, my mother is a nurse, and to tie in mental health and the medical field. So my grandmother, when she, God bless her heart, when she was alive, she refused help for so long and so long. My grandmother was born in the 20s. She went through a lot of things, a lot of trauma. But the Black woman, hold it together, be strong. Nothing's wrong, right? So it was a lot of bottling up and swallowing emotions, and really not doing check-ins and getting the help you need. Because a lot of times we'll just be like, oh, we'll get to it, right? Or you shouldn't face us, like Jonathan said, or you need to hold yourself together, et cetera, et cetera. But eventually it's going to manifest itself, right? So it eventually manifested itself in her with, having a mental disorder, having dementia. So then you fast forward to her being in a convalescent home, and I'm going in and we're checking in on her, not receiving the appropriate attention, getting bed sores and things like that. So you're seeing the treatment and the respect level that you're getting, and we were paying, top dollar for this convalescent home. It's supposed to be high rated, et cetera, et cetera. But where's the effort for the payment? Nothing. And just to call a spade, I see other people of other ethnicities and other colors in this building here, and just the way that the staff is interacting with them is different. And at first I used to think, oh, because maybe, dementia, sometimes my grandmother was there, like Maxine was here, and sometimes it was someone else, right? But as I was looking at her, I was like, no, they're definitely treating her that way because of the color of her skin, right? And, that's just not fair nor right to do. But just to go back to it, I too had to, you talk about generational curses and generational things you want to transform and let go of, like something that was very important during my healing process, which I still go through. Now, I go to therapy. It's very necessary. There was always this taboo about it. Didn't want to do it. Like Jonathan and Gianni said, swallow it, let it go, forget about it. Was being able to ask for help, really, which is like a very crucial piece when you're going through something, because a lot of times we just don't even know where to go. Like, I didn't know where to go. And then you see therapy, you're like, well, I'm not addicted to something, because there is that, like, oh, you're doing something wrong piece mentally, or that taboo feeling about it. But it's like, no, I'm just not feeling okay. Like Gianni says, what is depression? What does that feel like? No, I'm just tired, man. Like, I'm good. I just want to stay in bed, seasonal depression, things like that. So it's really, outside of having like a very close support group, which I think is very important, right? So like I did group therapy, which when I first went in, I was like, ooh, no, I don't want that. It's very scary. But you build this. It's just the health benefits to that, and you have this because we're social people. You have this community that you go in. It was incredibly helpful. So I think there should be some mandate in the law. Everyone should get a personal therapist, like this is your therapist or something like that. Heck, that'd be a good app. I mean, I don't know if there's a health app like that. If someone's watching our live stream, I'm trademarking that right now. Leave that alone. But yeah, so that's just where I stand. So what I mean? Absolutely. That's all I have to say.
No, you bring up a good point, man. When we talk about therapy, that's part of healing. You know what I mean? I myself, attest to it as well. That I've been going to therapy since I was 16, for the past 9 years. And it's helped me so much in terms of formulating my different thoughts of like from generational trauma that you kind of experience. And even, talking about, this past year, therapy has been extremely helpful because of how much you have to really get stuff off your chest, right? But I really have to say this too as well for people that want to go to therapy, just don't know where to start. Therapy truly is not going to help you unless you have to be honest with yourself. You don't have to, I'm not saying let it all out on the table, but you have to be truly honest with yourself. And that's how therapy will truly help you heal in your best efforts, right? Especially, we're going to kind of get a little bit more serious right now with mental health, right? How were you guys able to deal with, being in a pandemic alongside everything that was happening with our uprising back in June when George Floyd was killed? That was hard. That was hard on all of us. You know what I mean? We've had that conversation. That was one of the hardest moments that we can really express. Gianni, what was your thought process going through that time?
I was not okay. I'm still not okay, honestly. Like, you have good days, but it's scary. Like, it's so scary because you have to think about it. Like, that could be any of us. That could be anybody. That could be anybody we know. It probably has been somebody we know. And you just feel so unsafe. And that makes you sad, So it's like, how do you keep going? How do you be happy? Like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you could walk outside and somebody be like, I don't like the way you look, and take your life. like that reality. I don't think anybody, like other people, like of any other ethnicity thinks like that. But it's like that's a conversation that we have to have, like with our children. And I remember my auntie, like I have a little cousin, he's a boy, and so my auntie had to like sit down with my cousin, he's like 6 or 7, and she had to like prepare him, like when you go outside, this is what you should look for. And I'm like, he's a child, like that's not something he should be thinking about. But that's something you have to think about, and you have to think about for yourself, because it's a lot. It's scary for sure.
Let's touch upon that actually. All right, it's called the talk, right? We have two of those, right? The talk. The birds and the bees will play around with that, and we also have to talk about how to handle yourself when you go outside and when you encounter police officers. And you're saying that, Gianni, like that would happen to your little cousin, right? At the age of 6. My talk was at the age of 10, 11. So you're talking about the talk is getting younger, right? So, what about the innocence that, that in terms of that whole learning process? We can't afford to go through that learning process because, that eventually will save our lives. Our representation and how we handle ourselves in public will eventually save our lives. We are all educated young Black scholars, right? But the thing is, I feel like we don't know how we represent ourselves in public is probably saved our lives more than we'll ever know. I think that's just reality, right? Jonathan, what's your thoughts on that?
Man, I have so many thoughts. It's crazy, but I feel like Floyd was honestly the first time for a lot of white people. I think in non-Black POC that they realize that it's just kind of open season. And what I mean by that is, when you watch a man with the knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while he's begging for his life, a lot of people who were kind of on the sidelines said, "Oh, hey, there actually might be an issue here." And here, I guess going back to kind of our side of things, the talk is something that I remember my dad had with me when I was young. I couldn't have been more than 10, 11. Speaking to other young black people, it seems like we're around the same age, and it seems like, as you said, the age is getting lower and lower. It seems like, there was a previous thought in our community that, hands on 10 and 12 and acting a certain type of way, respectability politics, that would save us. And sometimes, if we're lucky, it does. But we've seen that, honestly, we're playing a game of chance really every day just by being Black. And Gianni mentioned kind of just, Floyd happened in June. I think we're all still processing as Black people. It hasn't, even though it's been almost a year now, it feels just as fresh as yesterday. But yeah, it's scary out here, and I think I'm just trying to take things day by day. Honestly, I don't know about you guys, but it's really disappointing, the things that have happened. Not just over the past year during this pandemic, but again, the past 400 years that we've had to endure as Black people.
And Jonathan, that you're right, it's just still as fresh, right? And everyone can attest to that on this in our panel. JD, you're looking around right now. How did you feel during that whole ordeal? Because I remember we had our conversations, bro, and it was hard. It was hard having that conversation, because sometimes next time it's like, man, am I going to see my Black brother next time? Am I going to see my Black sister next time? That's the reality that we face. When we're not being sensitive and we're not being taking it out of proportion. Like this is legit concerns that we feel. JD, what's your feelings on that?
I think every African American generation has long been in this country. It's unfortunate and sad to say that we have a situation like that. Let's go back to the 1910s and 1920s. We have Emmett Till. Let's go to the 50s and 60s. We have Medgar. We have Martin Luther King. We have Malcolm X, and you move ahead to the 90s, we have Rodney King, and then now we are of age. I think we're all around in our 20s now. Now we have our George Floyd. So it's like this. It's not anything new, per se, but there always is this point. Especially, I've only been around for 24 years, so I wasn't conscious of Rodney Hood. But you hear, Rodney Hood, excuse me, of Rodney King. But you hear of these stories and you read these stories, like the inmate tell things and how grotesque that was and stuff, and you're like, when does it stop? Really, right? You're like, we have come so far as people, and truly, all we want to do is just be left alone and looked at like the next person, right? Like, truthfully, leave me alone. I don't really care, right? So it can be very disheartening and very sad, and it's very painful because in those people's faces, when you see those things, you could see your brother, you could see your cousin, you could see your sister, you could see your mother, you could see your father. And also to hit on another thing, it's throughout the generations, a lot of our Black leaders have either been killed or incarcerated. So how is a people supposed to continually rise and build upon themselves when through government politics, you're not going to get into, and spin in media, you have incarcerated us or killed us, like I haven't seen it happen to many other nationalities, different ethnicities and things like that, right? So the mischaracterization of the Black people being lazy, not doing things for themselves. They call it the welfare queen. That's what I learned when I was doing women and gender studies, right? How that disrupts and splits the Black family and things like that, right? So, I mean, all in all, it's painful, man. It's very painful, and that's where my mind goes to that. So you see George Floyd, and that was. Oof. Give me one moment. I don't know why I watched all 8 minutes and 46 seconds of it, but I watched it and I watched it continually, just to really. I mean, it wasn't anything I didn't already know that this does happen, right? And this is just one of the times that it got recorded. You think of from now previously to as long as you've been in this country, I'm sure there have been many other incidences worse than this. Let's talk about lynching, right? They had lynch parties after church. After church, man. Like, that is ridiculous to me. So it is with a heavy heart that that we have to experience and see these things. But that is definitely why it is so important for us to unify and to tell each other we love one another and to have one another and to also build our own systems and our own functionalities in our own organizations so that we can keep most of the things in-house. Right. I mean, what America is showing us, and we already know, is they really don't care about us. So to reach out to them for help is that we have to do for self. Yeah, that's all. That's it, man.
You said something key, bro. You say like we need to tell each other that we love each other a lot more. Every time we're on the phone, bro, say I love you, man, love you too. Like we started saying that back in June of last year because we're like that truly had that expression, not just as brothers, but like that's how we feel. You know what I mean? We just express that love. But I'll say for myself, right? When the George Floyd incident happened, right? That next week I got laid off from my job at LinkedIn. And so you had this ongoing thing, like, everyone was saying the riots, right? I was like, nah, that's not right. That's an uprising. We're tired. We're tired of everything that's happening to us, right? But when I got laid off, I was like, I'll be honest, bro. I'm gonna just say full force. I'm like, how come a lot of my white coworkers, didn't get laid off from their positions too as well? You know what I mean? I felt like I was one of the first ones to go. I was an administrative assistant there. And we won't. I'm not trying to go on and on about that, but it was hard trying to refocus on like, okay, I got laid off. Then okay, focusing on school, trying to focus on our startup, and with all this is happening, I mean, that's why therapy was so important for myself to really be able to hone in, stay focused, be able to get that off your chest, and really rally around each other as brothers and sisters, because we need the support of our fellow friend. Adi, for example, was a person that was there for myself, like just listening. Not even talking or offering solutions, but listening. And I appreciate that people of color that are not Black that were offering an ear and listening to us and our problems that we're going through, because that shit was not easy, And so as we transition from like what we were working on and what we're going through with that, let's talk about education and how much that means for us. the truth is, we know that utilizing the power of education helps us get for us from point A to point B and wherever we can go, right? This is for anyone. How important has education been for you guys and your guys' route? And this is to anyone to answer that.
Well, I guess I'll go first. Man, education is obviously very important. Personally, and Audie knows this. We grew up in. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pleasanton.
We know Pleasanton.
Oh yeah, I know Pleasanton.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I don't need to say anything else, there, but Pleasanton.
We know Pleasanton real well. We guess Foothill High School.
Okay. But man, Pleasanton I could go into. We could have a whole other live stream on Pleasanton for real. But at its core, Pleasanton gave me and my sisters a good education, a very good education. And I saw how it prepared us for college. But I also want to mention the importance of, we weren't first generation students. So a lot of the obstacles that I know a lot of my peers in Morehouse faced, we didn't necessarily have to go through. So the education system has a lot of challenges. It obviously is filled with a lot of inequities, but I continue to believe that education, especially for Black folk, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, tool of upward economic, I guess, mobility. And so when I think about where I am, where all of us are collectively on this call, education is obviously very important, and it's something that our people, going back to slavery, struggle to get. So I definitely don't take it for granted, and yeah.
I actually have to highlight something for you, Jonathan, as well. All right, you went to Morehouse College, right? HBCU, all boys school out there in Atlanta. But what's so cool that I know about HBCUs is that you get a diverse perspective of Black people that come from all over. Tell us a little bit about that experience, about what you encountered with other Black folks that either came from the same socioeconomic background or from lower income areas as well.
Yeah, so Morehouse was the best 4 years of my life. Previously, I was told, people were like, why would you go to an HBCU here that it has no diversity? But to your point, Morehouse was probably the most diverse environment that I've ever been in. And it was because, we had Black people from all socioeconomic classes, who identify with different sexualities, different genders, who had different political beliefs. And, it was just beautiful to be in that environment and to, first of all, know you were safe. We could walk down the street with our do-rags on, our hoodies, and just say, dap each other up. There was no fear. There was no, microaggressions, those things that we continually have to worry about in white spaces. That was almost completely erased for 4 years. But meeting those people who I met in school, Black women, Black men, non-binary, they challenged me in different ways. They helped me grow in a lot of ways. And again, the fact that we were all united under a common struggle was pretty amazing. So the HBCU experience, it has its pitfalls. We don't have a lot of money, or I guess as much money as some other schools, but the beauty of just being in an environment that is made for you, and being able to share that with other young Black people, it's really one of a kind in here.
Overall, man, that must have been a great experience. I love that you're able to talk about that, and you carry on that legacy as alumni for the rest of your life, right? And I know that you'll be an active part of that community till the day you die. You know what I mean? So that's what's up. Gianni, for you, right? How much has the power of education help you get to where you need to be, especially you going through a process in nursing school?
Education is super important. Even growing up, I used to always hear like the pen is mightier than the sword. And my mom used to always say they can take anything away from you, but they cannot take your knowledge from you. So obtain as much as you possibly can. And so that's kind of what like I abide by, like read as many books as I can, because we work so hard to get it. It's so hard for us to learn how to read and learn how to, do certain things. And so it really is, it's a gem. It's worth more than gold. So and education and obtaining my education and passing on as much knowledge as I can to the kids coming under me, that's super duper important.
That's a good point. Your mom really taught you a lot, and I just want to say, like, as an uncle, right, I'm so proud of you and where you began. You know what I mean? Through your whole process, through you just moved out to San Diego. You're with your best friend out there. I'm extremely proud of you. And again, you have another uncle that's out there for the next week or so. Hit him up. Anything that you need, we're out there for you. That's love right there. And I'm proud to see what kind of the powerful young Black woman that you are today. And I know your dad, your mom, which is my sister, they definitely did a good job. So I'm so happy to see where you're at. You're happy, you're flourishing, you're blossoming. Just good for you.
Thank you.
Of course. Hey JD, same question, bro. Right? Where the power of education, how that's helped you. And I know you as well, bro. Not just from graduating from Long Beach, but you read books. That was part of your healing process, self-development, man. Add a lot more in terms of the curriculum with that you were reading as well.
Yeah, going back on what Gianni said, and how we weren't allowed to read during slavery. They didn't teach us, and if you were found to do it, cut off your hands, cut out your eyes, things like that, right? So as important as education is, right, it is the key to the gate, right? It is also being a self-starter and seeking out outside knowledge, right? Because there's some things we learn in school that really don't apply. Like, I think there's certain things in the educational system that should be added. We should learn how to do our taxes. That should be in the curriculum and things like the things that you're going to need to know, and investments and things like that. So, I saw that wasn't in there, and I'd always had an interest in it. So, I started getting textbooks and getting other financial books to really broaden my aspects and broaden my knowledge here, right? And then as I started, because I've always been an avid reader, and I enjoy reading, man, whether it's spiritual books, fictional books, nonfiction, all these other things. It really gives you a different perspective on life and a more what do we say, universal knowledge. But yeah, I found peace during my healing process with reading because I found myself able to be with myself, be with my thoughts, and it's very interesting as you're reading, something someone else wrote. They always say, if you want to learn a new idea, go read an old book. So I found a lot of what people say nuggets or little gems in books, whether it's self-development books or, podcasts are very big, as you guys were very well know, A-Game Media Co. Woo woo. And there's gems that people drop. There's so many tools now. You have Audible, right? So if you pay monthly subscription, like everyone does subscriptions now, someone will recite the book to you. So there's really so many different ways to be educated now. And it's really incredible how far we have come as a society. And so now it's just really challenging and encouraging everyone to seek out that education and be a lifelong learner. Like, don't just learn for the whatever, what do you say, like 21 years that you're in school. That will only take you so far, right, for that real meat and potatoes education, right? But you want to get that filet mignon, right? You want to have the capers on there, all that good stuff. So, sorry, I'm really hungry. But yeah, so more so than like higher education, it is lifelong education as well.
You said lifelong education, bro. I think one thing that we should really highlight is that our education, our learning and our education just doesn't stop outside the doors of the classroom. Like, let's be real. And then the thing is, we have to constantly be learning. We got to constantly be learning. I think that when it comes for us as students, we're either going to our undergrad, trying to do our our master programs. Myself, I look to get my JD MBA, go to a JD MBA program. I know that my education does not just stop beyond that, though. And that's why I'm extremely excited, because the thing is, we need that to help us, grow. Don't get me wrong, bro. Like, sometimes I'm conflicted, and anyone chime in on this, right? I'm conflicted because sometimes on social media, you start seeing these people who start a business, become millionaires. And, I'm like, man, what the hell I need school for? But I realize I'm Black. I could be able to do that and have a formal education at the same time. And that's why, like, we need that, because the thing is, that's part of the, honestly, the credentials, and that, like you're like a Gianni, like your mom is saying, as a piece, that's something that they can never take away from you. You know what I mean? They could take my money, they could take the cars, they could take all that, but they can never take my degree, and they can never take the knowledge that I've gained from that. So you know what I mean? So that's why I love education. That's why I love school, and loving the process of school is something that we should all embrace. You know what I mean? And then, so on, like, kind of, from the academic standpoint as well, let's talk about a little bit more social injustices. How can we improve on it? You know what I mean? Like, because we talked about the George Floyd incident, but I kind of want to highlight more of the talk that we had at a young age. Because the thing is, not just with police officers, but it's also when we go to a store, when we go into an airport, when we go to a club or something like that, even walking down the street, even going for a walk. Like, I say this myself. I'll tell about my what I do currently right now, but let's talk with you guys. Jonathan, kind of talk about your experiences about being a Black man, presenting yourself in public. What is it that you do differently compared to other folks?
Yeah, I always think back to Pleasanton, and I think we will all agree under kind of a loose scope that we have to try to present ourselves as less threatening. So I used to wear hoods when I would take my dog for a walk. It would be cold. I would think nothing of it. But Trayvon Martin happened, obviously. But in Pleasanton, I would also see people cross the street when I would approach. And that's when I noticed, okay, we have to do things differently to present ourselves in certain contexts in a non-threatening manner. So again, I'll wear, if an occasion, for example, is casual, sometimes I'll dress up, like if it's a job interview, if it's kind of a social event, in grocery stores and things like that. I just try to make myself not look conspicuous. There's just certain things I've noticed over time, being a Black man, that we face. We're monitored in retail stores and grocery stores. Obviously the police. We've been, I'm sure all of us have been stopped by the police once or twice, and you feel your heart racing. Keep your hands visible. So there's those silent rules here that I feel like I've slowly learned in a lot of cases over my 23 years. But I'm definitely still learning about, yeah.
Yeah, bro, it's a hard reality that we go through, right? You're saying that you can't basically not look menacing. You know what I mean? I myself been stopped by the police, pulled over 5 times. DWB is a real thing, and that's why, again, keep your this is the advice I have to say: keep your license, insurance, proof of insurance, as well as your
Registration.
registration. Thank you so much. I'm caught up. My apologies on that. But I keep it on the visor in my car, so that way, when I put it down, it's right there. You know what I mean? That's my biggest advice, because you just want to be able to keep your hands visible at all times. You know what I mean? Hands on the steering wheel. Now, Gianni, JD, same thing for you guys. What is it that you like going through your process, being in public? How much do you feel like you have to be different? And sometimes it's tiring for us to, carry a different persona that we carry at home when we're with our Black friends and when we're in public in front of everyone else. Gianni, you can go first.
Well, my experience was like kind of strange because in the beginning of my life, I grew up in American Canyon, and it's a small town, and it's like next to Vallejo, and it's like primarily like white people. I can count on my hands. I think it was like 10 Black people that went to that school. And so growing up, I didn't really like racial things. Like, I didn't know nothing that wasn't like a huge thing there. But I know they used to look at me funny. Look at your hair. And, it was like little stuff, but I'm a kid. So I'm like, oh yeah. But it wasn't until like middle school, and I got into I moved to Fairfield, and I'm like, they got police at the school, like watching us. And, it's just like, it's more Black people, it's more diverse. So like, they looking at us weird. And so that kind of like changed my perspective. And then I went on a civil rights tour, and that really like, oh, we different. Like we're different individuals. Like we can't just be outside like doing just anything. So it's definitely like I try, since I'm tall, like I'm tall and I'm like thicker and I'm dark skinned, so they look at me like I'm aggressive. So I try to like smile when I walk in a room. You know, I try to be like super like bubbly, and because I don't want nobody to be like, oh, I'm scared of her. You know, so I think we just always have to like be so like I can't just ever just be sad. I can't like I'm chilling, I'm here. I got to be like, hey everyone. You know, they say like on your white voice, but you know, you gotta like present yourself a certain way so they don't be looking at you funny. And if you just get tired of doing that sometimes. So, and pandemic wise, I'm glad that we can stay in the house because it's exhausting to be all over the place all the time.
You said that white voice. We gotta articulate ourselves. We have to, hi guys. Just like I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Jordan, hey, Jordan, stop. Jordan, talk about your experiences and handling yourself in public, bro.
Woo. I mean, you guys all hit the nail on the head right there. Something that I try to do outside of my TV white voice, Brian Gumble, Greg Gumble voice, right, is I mean, Mother did a good job of, like you said, you have to talk. She put me in schools where they were traditionally like white or Asian schools, right, like private schools and things like that. So I already felt, I'd say about like fourth, fifth grade, that you realize when you look around, like Gianni said, there's one to two of us, and I'm one of them, right, in the classroom. And it's little slights at first. Little kids are mean regardless, but I don't really care. I said, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But as you start to get older, and especially I think when you really get into high school, you start really noticing certain things. So I went to high school at St. Joe's in Alameda. Now, demographic in Alameda is old, white, Asian. So you can have sort of an idea of what that kind of looks like in the police there. No games, just like anywhere else, right? So, I mean, I always made sure my St. Joe's like basketball like hoodie like across my chest, no hood, walk around, because you'd have half days and things, and we'd walk to the local plaza just to get some food or something like that, right? And I remember one time specifically police like tailing us from outside the school all the way, which is about 2 to 3 miles, straight to the plaza. He parked right in front of the Chipotle and just waited until we left. Like, we have nothing to do, man. Like, nothing at all, right? I said, go really like stop somebody. So I mean, you really get a taste of that. And it really, like Gianni said, it is tiring having to feel that you have to almost be an Oscar Award winner every single day of your life in every different situation. The only time you can breathe to exhale is really when you're with your family or you're with your friends in a secure environment, i.e. apartment or a household. But anytime you're out in the environment, it really is the wild, wild west. So, I mean, sometimes like I would find myself getting frustrating, because it is frustrating, especially when I'd be around friends that were of, white or Asian, but predominantly white backgrounds here, and they can act a fool. But like mom said, don't you do what those white boys do, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I didn't want to. Plus, my mom had a wicked backhand, so I was not doing any of that. But all jokes aside here, it is just a reality. And so, like I say, there's this saying, this parable, how people have three masks, right? You have who you are with yourself, who you are the people you trust, and who you are in the outside world. I feel like Black people are constantly switching between, 5 to 6 masks, depending on, like Jonathan said, job interview, right? Or like when he goes to certain events, you dress nicer. Like something I try to do is, and we're not a huge guy at all, but like I say hi to everyone I meet down the street. Like, and I just have become more social and more comfortable in myself. But I also realize that is a deterrent to some people. Because if I'm just walking, hey, man, I'm not going to walk down the street or bike down the street in a 3-piece suit, okay? You know what I'm saying? Maybe I want to look like Denzel Washington, King Kong, and got showing me sometimes, things like that. But at least I say hi. Like, at least I'm saying hi. Like, I'm telling you, that has disarmed people. Hey, even police, I really like them. The feds may be watching, so I'm not going to say it. But I'll say hi to the police. And a lot of times I've seen that has disarmed them as well. Like, they'll be looking at me and say, hi, officer. They're like, oh, hi. I'm like, yeah, you don't need to reach for that block. I'm going to keep walking. Like, I'm going to keep moving over. I'm going to keep moving over here, right? And then to touch on what you said here regarding DWB, right? There's an instance when I was in Long Beach State, and you know, I love my In and Out. I'm Californian. I just went to go get me my double and a strawberry shake. Right, my apartment was a couple of blocks away, so I
Strawberry
drove
shake.
there. Hey, you know what? I don't even start. I don't even start. But I you know, you go through the drive. The officer came through. He followed me home. As soon as I turned into the my parking lot, he said, "Woo woo," pulls me over. I said, fries in mouth. I said, "Is there a problem, officer?" And he said, "What are you doing? Why are you parking here?" I said, "I live here." So license and registration. Your license says like Bay Area. I go to school here. I said, "Do you want to see my Cal State Long Beach ID?" Just wait a second. Partners on the other side, like just holding the gun, like holding the gun on the window, and I'm like, man, I just want to eat this food. You know what I mean? And so they run it. They said, "Oh, you do go to school." So then, all right, what do you do? And you just see the tone change, and the tone usually changes when I speak, but like you said, the white voice and things like that. But it is tiring. It's very very tiring. So like Gianni said, I became over homebody. Like I like to be out and about, but hey, I'm here. I'm safe. I put a couch in my room, have a desk in my room. I said, I'm good. I said, YouTube has been my my grandmother, meaning like teach me how to cook and all that good stuff. So I'm good. I'm happy to be home, man.
Yeah, bro. It's such a good feeling, man. And I think like after we get pulled over, like my incident, I've been pulled over 5 times, right? And then Jordan, you already know that it happened with our other brother. You know, shout out to Jordan Lewis. We got pulled over at the same time, leaving the marina, and that was probably the hardest one because there's actually I wouldn't say an altercation, but there's interaction trying to say like, look, well, I'll talk more about that later. But let me say like from my experience about being in public. I feel like I have to brand myself. Like JD, you were talking about wearing your, you know, St. Joe's basketball sweater. You know, same thing for you, Jonathan. I myself, right? I'm always wearing either a LinkedIn shirt because it's the only thing like you know you can only get it if you work at LinkedIn. I'm wearing my martial arts shirt is because, you know, like, okay, you know, he must do martial arts. You know, that's you know, not everyone does that. You know, or my like school shirt. It's like, okay, you know, from your ties from Santa Clara to, you know, UC San Diego. You know, that's what I feel like must be educated. You know, because he's not wearing that for nothing. You know what I mean? So it's just like I feel like I have to brand myself every time I go out. And at the Bay Area, not so much. But you know, I actually been out here in Roseville since quarantine. Shout out to my girlfriend, Lady Versailles. Um, but you had to get a little shout out. But the reason why, like out here in Roseville, you know, it's mostly it's a red county. And the thing is, you know, you see the Trump trucks driving all the time, fast and crazy. And so the thing is, like, the reason why I always have to wear that is because I don't want to look. Again, we talk about the words menacing. We don't want to look, you know, like, you know, you're just someone. You just, I'm tired of it, bro. Like, I'm tired. Like, I love those shirts, but they're fading away right now because I wash them, wear them all at the same time. But it's just, it sucks to really be like, that's the reality of things. You know what I mean? Like, so for me to be different in public, I have to act a certain way. It gets tiring. Like JD, you know, we could talk about how we act with each other and how funny that is when we're at my house, right? With just the boys. But when we're in public, you know what I mean? Just straight. You know, you just gotta hold yourself a different way. But the thing is, it could be life or death. And me personally, I just want to get home. I just want to be home with my family. You know, I get pulled over. I just want to be home with my mom. I want to get home with my family, and that's the biggest thing. So I think that's why I get so tired of it. It's a tiring thing. So I think moving forward, though, let's I'm sorry, man. I'm just like I get mad about that situation because it's just like, bro, like that's every day of our lives. You know, I'm being truly authentic right now. That's every day of our lives, and you know, and that's why it's so important for us to be different. That's why it's so important for us to be extremely educated, to be articulate. And you know what, bro? Like, here's one thing I hated too as well. I may be rambling on, but I'm just saying one thing. When people say, "Oh, I hear you're not black," I'm like, "What you mean?" Is because you don't talk black, you don't act black, you don't dress black. And I'm like, first of all, what the fuck do you mean? Like, you know, you categorize all black folks because of what they have to dress or what they have to present themselves. You know what I mean? So like, actually, let me get your guys' thoughts on that. You know, and have you guys ever been said that to you guys first? You know, because you know you're projected a certain way.
I man, hear that was honestly pleasant in a nutshell. uh, we had certain, all you know is just that there were certain categorizations of what black was.
You're on mute, Jonathan.
My bad, my good. Um, we had the athletes, we had the artists, and if you didn't fit into kind of these categories, then your blackness wasn't validated. And Pleasanton was. Yeah, I just remember getting called an Oreo. I'm sure you guys, experienced that a lot, like so many times. Just because the way I spoke right here, like you mentioned, just because me and my sisters were on the band. These nerdy things that people didn't associate in their schemas of blackness uh, were us being associated with them. People didn't validate us as black people. And again, to that point, uh, Morehouse taught me that there's a lot more to us than what society often presents and gives us credit for. We're a beautiful people with a lot of diversity and thought, appearance, and a whole lot of other factors. But Pleasanton again did it taught me, or at least it made me think that we were kind of bimodal. There were only a couple representations of who we really were. Yeah.
Bro, being called an Oreo is not the best thing. You know what I mean? Like that is um that again is like there's a long list of things that were called, right? JD, Gianni, like any of your guys' experiences because of how you present yourself, why people say that you're not black enough or something like that?
For sure. Jonathan, I understand. Oreo, nickname. Like, I was always prepared for somebody to call me that. But I used to be kind of like weird about it, like uncomfortable about it. But now I press people's lines. What does that mean? Like, what does sounding white mean? Like, why are you calling me Oreo? Like, I ask those questions because I want them to know. Like, what are you saying for real? Like I think we always are put in boxes, like I listen to my rap music. I like Sada, but I like, Justin Bieber too. Like I listen to all kind of people. That doesn't make me less black or this more of this, like we are able to like listen and be anything and it doesn't like take away from our blackness, so I definitely ask all kind of questions when people are like judging me based off of what I sound like or what I'm listening to or anything. I want to know, like, so we can have that conversation because that's not gonna work. We're so bigger than that, and I feel like people got to stop labeling us all the time based off what we look like.
No, that Gianni, that's big facts, right? And then here's one thing as well: when people say, "Oh, I'm blacker than you," I've had my Asian friends say that sometimes back in high school. I'm right. I'm like, have you say that to the police? Like for real? Like, come on now. You're blacker than me. Like, you don't know the struggle of being black in America, being black in this society. Come on now. Don't play with me right now. But the thing is, we just gotta constantly remind ourselves that like that's just sometimes either they're playing around or not. That's just the ignorance that some people possess, and that's not on us, right? That's not a reflection on us. That's a reflection on other people. That's a reflection on them and how they portray themselves. So I know that we're better than that. JD, what about yourself, man?
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay. Um, so many thoughts. The Oreo thing, yeah. I mean, I didn't necessarily hear that because I did kind of fit the mold of like I played athletic sport, but I really, I was a nerd at heart. I like to read. I had band friends and things like that. So, they'd be like, "Oh, you're a different black guy. Oh, you talk differently, like Jonathan said, et cetera, et cetera." And honestly, I didn't really let that faze me. But looking back, I wish I would have asked, like, Johnny, what are you talking about? What does that even mean, right? Because we don't get boxed in. No human should be boxed in into any category, anything like that. So with that being said, I really just don't care anymore. I'm just gonna be who I'm gonna be, and that's really just it. I said, we're all developing ourselves. Like Johnny said, hey, yeah, I can listen to some King Von, but then hey, I got some classical music in here too. I said, don't make me break out the violin concerto on here, a little bit of some stuff right now. I said, I have the classical music heat on my Apple Music. Follow me right now. So we are very diverse people. We have diverse likes. We have diverse skill sets, diverse characteristics. And just even like the four of us right here, I said we are all African, but look how different we are, right? Like look at our skin complexions, our smiles, our noses, our eyebrows, our ears. I said, you hear black is beautiful. Damn right it is. Damn right, melanin is a powerful thing, right? And we are powerful people. So it's just really taking us. Ooh, sneeze. Excuse me. Taking us realizing that, and also empowering one another is very important, right? Because a lot of times we strip down. We're already stripped down by society and other nationalities, other races, saying I'm blacker than you, or like we hear this all the time, the black card. I said the only black card is the Amex card, so I don't know what you're talking about here. So it's very important for us to unify and to lift one another up. Why is it? Let's take something that everybody knows. Let's say the Triple B's, LeVar Ball. I'm sure everybody knows that, right? But he comes out with his own shoe brand, and he's a master marketer. Man, if I could do an internship with LeVar Ball, I'd take that in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? Because who wouldn't want to have a black father like that who has the ultimate belief in you? Said, I don't care about Michael Jordan. My boys are going to be greater, greater than that. And really, look, he gave the tools and the future and the foundation for his boys, whether they don't play another NBA game or whatever they choose to do, they are set. You know what I mean? I said, who wouldn't take that? Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, et cetera, right? But it's any time that a black man or a black family does that, media is just trying to propel you down, strip you down. And honestly, some African American people were doing that. And I said, why would you do that? A black man's trying to make his own shoe, but it's $500. Okay, well, you just spent your stimulus check on $1,200 Gucci shoes. So what are you talking about, man? So, it's just things like that because, hey, I didn't buy the shoes. I was like, college, no, thank you. That's too much groceries. But I did buy a shirt, and something like that just to support. Because we hear about black business, and there's what is it called, Blackout Monday or Friday or something like that. I forget. It's like, why are we only supporting black business 1 or 2 days a year? No, I said that should be first and foremost, right? Because the black dollar is a multi-trillion-dollar business, and truthfully, if we were to take our dollar out of the economy, out of the Eurocentric economy, out of the Asian-dominated beauty industry, I said, they'd come calling. They would come calling to us in a heartbeat. And if we put all that money back into us, hey, like Ty Dolla $ign, we'd be sitting pretty. That's it. So yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm good.
No, hell yeah, man. That's an excellent segue into like kind of finance aspect too as well. Because the thing is, like, the black dollar can go around for so long. I remember this was back in 2015, 2016, right? I remember my dad taught me one thing. He was like, how many times does the black dollar go around? He said one time. How much does the Chinese dollar go around? 16 times, right? And you see that, I'm saying with the Chinese dollar, right? And so imagine, in Chinatown, the Chinese community, everything. The delivery company, Chinese. Banks, Chinese. The grocery stores, Chinese. Clothing stores, Chinese. The laundromats, Chinese owned. Everything goes around in that community. That's why you see it so enriched. And the thing is, with our black dollar, it just goes to, maybe it goes to like, again, to Nike, to Adidas, to all these other big corporations, to Apple. But the thing is, and once it happens, it vanishes. Especially Amazon. Amazon's been a huge thing. Don't get me wrong, man. I like my Amazon Prime, but I think I need to start putting the aspect of spending my black dollar somewhere else, because it just vanishes. And I'll be honest with that, I'll be honest. But we do need to put our money back into our community, and that's what's important because that's what gives us a brighter future, and even putting our money to ourselves, And so, guys, it's 7:15 right now. Jonathan, I know that's like 10:15 out in the East Coast. So, I kind of want to wrap this up right now. First and foremost, bro, I want to thank every single one of you guys as a panel for coming in and talking with us. This was fun. We want to do this more often. And I want to thank the audience we would not be doing this without you guys. So thank you so much for even being a part and listening to us to talk about, us as our social issues, the thing from finance, from academics, and how we're trying to uplift our communities in each and every way. So again, so the audience can follow you guys. Gianni, Jonathan, Jordan, you guys want to give your Instagrams or anything like that so people could follow you in your guys' journey? Say it.
Well, my Instagram is underscore Yana. It's YANNA.G.
Mm-hmm.
That's my Instagram, and that's where I be. And I be on Twitter too. And it's my name and then the G. You'll find me. And I think that's all I'm on. And I just started TikTok, but I'm not there yet. But it's my name too. You got to follow me there too.
Okay, so I have Instagram. My Instagram is Jonathan, my name, B, as in bird, and then Epps, Jonathan B Epps. You guys can also add me on LinkedIn. I've recently been on there a lot, looking for a job. Always happy to add to my network. So,
Yeah.
Talk that talk, my guy.
So please add me on LinkedIn. I promise I will accept your request eagerly.
Man, I'm probably bigger on LinkedIn now than Instagram, to be honest.
Yeah,
Shoot.
that's real.
Jordan, what
Hey,
about
JD,
you,
you gotta add me back, man.
Did you on Instagram or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn,
Both.
LinkedIn.
Oh, okay. I'll go on right after. Oh, my name is very unique. At Jordan.Dyson. Not the most creative. But yeah, and then obviously the same is on LinkedIn. That's where I do all my damage.
Mhm.
But yeah, I want to thank Adi again for listening. It's very important that we also have people that listen as well, right? And be willing to listen. And it's not about always having an answer. Like when I believe a hero Jonathan said this earlier. I can't really remember, but saying that Adi, you just took the time to really hear you out and not really try to offer a solution, but just really just let you vent, right? I think that's very important. Having other people that are not necessarily in the struggle with you, but they're willing to listen and then also support you and fight the fight with you, right? Which is also something that they don't really want us to do. They being such a auspicious word, but unification is going to be the key. Unification of the Black people, and then unification of society as all, which is what they don't. They feed off of diversification here and keeping us divided. So again, wonderful to meet you, Gianni. Wonderful to meet you, Jonathan Epps. I hope there's a relation to Mike Epps somewhere right there. Here, all I need you to do is cook your wonderful wife some food. If she's in the background, let her shape you up in the back. It's looking a little. I'm just kidding, but
Bro, I just got cut last week. What you mean?
I'm just kidding. I gotta go shave myself. I got some chia seeds coming. If you can't see, it was great and wonderful to meet you guys.
Yeah, and
No,
I
likewise.
just I have to say, Adi, we all know that Adi is for the culture because he has a Kobe Bryant and and Nipsey Hussle poster in the back. But
Well, yeah.
but that's funny. Actually, before we actually leave, I wanna say one thing too as well for us as a Black community. Something that I really want to denounce right now is the unprovoked attacks and assaults that have been on Asian elders. Right, our Asian brothers and sisters have all been with the fight with us since day one, especially with the incidences that's been happening with George Floyd, and they stand with us. Right, so the unprovoked and the thing is, a lot of that has been young Black men and women that have been doing the attacks on the Asian elders. They haven't been doing nothing to us, and for the fact that they even say that, to even do that, that's heartbreaking. So I want to denounce that because we are better than that. We are truly better than that. And I also want to let people know that's not all of us. No, we still stand with our Asian brothers and sisters through this, and we will continue to denounce that and protect our Asian elders as well. Those are aunties and uncles, as our aunties and uncles are for our Asian brothers and sisters. So I have to say that because that's something that's been going on. We see that on social media, and that's fucking sick. And we're better than that as a community.
No, just to add on this. Go ahead. Was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
No, I just want to say to JD's point earlier, man. I think again, like this that's been going on, man. It's not going to be solved overnight. I just think a lot of this stuff comes from just like ignorance and unwillingness to learn. And I think even for myself, man, even growing up in the Bay in a diverse space, it's like I've had to, take that step of just having my own independent views, right? I think the more we can have people just have that independent view, just be willing to listen, we can go in the right direction. And again, we have a long ways to go, but I'm just trying to do my part. And so that's all I'm controlling right now.
Appreciate you, Adi.
Love you for
Again,
it.
go ahead, JD.
Oh no, I was just saying we love you for it. That's all.
Oh yeah. So again, that's something I had to say. But again, truly, this was definitely fun, and we should keep this going on. We keep this going on. Keep the conversations going on, and more live streams. Again, we appreciate the audience for being a part of this, and just going to definitely tune off. I was going to play some music to just sign off right now, but it won't take too long to upload the beats and everything like that. The beats are damn near broken, so fuck it. All right, guys. You guys have a good rest of your nights. One love to y'all.
Thank you,
Peace,
guys.
love, prosperity,
All right, so
people.
have a
Bye-bye.
good one.
All right,
Bye.